And we've got some more breaking news coming in as far as the JNU story is concerned. The Communist Party of India Parliamentary Group leader Binoy Vishwam has given a notice to suspend the business of the Rajya Sabha to discuss the police assault on the students of Jawaharlal Nehru University. My colleague Payal Mehta is giving us the details of what's happening in Parliament today. Payal, very good morning to you. You know, the left parties have been the most vocal as far as the JNU fee hike issue is concerned. It's not surprising really that the Communist Party of India is now raising this issue in Parliament as well.
Yes, of course. The Communist Party of India and the left parties have in fact raised this particular issue. They've given a notice of suspension of all business to take this up. And also there have been notices given by various other parties, including the RJD, because they feel that the campus of the JNU should not be vitiated in this manner. There should not be violence on the campus as well. And they would like to seek a response from the HRD minister as well. Now, notices have been given, but whether or not these notices are admitted and allowed is up to the discretion of the chair for them.
And the big concern here that the CPI Parliamentary Group leader Binoy Vishwam seems to raise is, of course, the issue of the police assault, because there were allegations of lathi charge, that the 2 rounds of lathi charge, in fact, on students who said that they were protesting peacefully. That seems to be the main concern of the CPI right now.
Yes, that's the main concern of various political parties who've given a notice saying that how can you allow violence on the campus, and that should not really happen. And you know, even if protesters are protesting, they should have been peacefully removed from there, and there was no point of having police on the campus. That's the issue which is being raised again, and this was the same issue which was raised a couple of years ago when the violence happened on the JNU campus.
Payal, is this likely to go on along with... All right, we seem to have lost that connection with Payal. We'll try and patch back to her as well. Let's take a look at what Sitaram Yechury, the General Secretary of the CPM, had to say. He also lent his support to the JNU students' movement.
How do you see the protests today and the scale that it is taking?
Well, the scale of protest is unprecedented. And from all the images that you could see on the television, it has been a peaceful protest. And that peaceful protest being denied to be expressed is, I think, a gross violation of the democratic rights of the JNU students. And the manner in which the students are being dragged on the streets and arrested is completely condemnable. And it only shows the fierce authoritarian face of this government and the police. What I've seen, the police deployment today is worse than what we had during the emergency.
You are supporting their demands completely?
Yes, I think supporting the demand, JNU cannot be converted into an elitist university.
What do you make of it?
This government, I call this a coward government full of cowards. They cannot sit with our own people, our own students, our own youth. This government has shown its anger, resentment towards JNU because JNU, like any other university, does encourage and promote free flow of thoughts. They have a confrontationist attitude, approach towards the youth of India.
What would you say of the JNU students' demand to roll back the fee hike? Because we've heard leaders from the BJP come out and say they can use their scholarship fund to pay hostel fees.
If the rollback is not announced, JNU will become one of the most expensive central universities. And the demand is absolutely legitimate.
So the JNU fee hike issue will now ring out in the halls of Parliament, but my colleague Sahil Murli Meghani is at Ground Zero, Jawaharlal Nehru University. Sahil, good morning. You know, last night it was around 7 p.m. when the second round of lathi charge began. Several students got injured. How is the morning after looking like in Jawaharlal Nehru University? Is the situation tense right now? Are students understandably upset?
Seems they are still recovering from the tiredness of yesterday, because no one has turned up yet at the administrative block. Understandably so, because they returned late last night at around 12 midnight, not just the students but even the leaders as well. So the day is yet to begin officially at the JNU. We have been told that at around 10 a.m. we could see the first glimmer of today's protest at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Of course, behind me is the defaced statue of Swami Vivekanand, which also became a contentious point at when the protest began. There are two sides of the story, Uday, as of now. One side, of course, the side of the version out by the JNU students, in which they are claiming what happened yesterday was nothing less than police brutality. But on the other hand, when you speak to the Delhi police, they are giving a very, very legitimate explanation of what really happened yesterday. According to them, what they did was legitimate, if to put in their words. According to them, Section 144 is in place, and no one, be it a common man or any gathering, or any gathering particularly which was planning to storm inside the parliament. When the parliament session was on, when section 144 was in place, there was no other option for the Delhi police but to stop the protesters. And when there was force from the other side, force in the sense a large gathering trying to surpass the barricades, surpass the police gathering there, then they are left with no other option but to use minimal force just to push back the students, and then it got heated up. According to the Delhi police, while the students are claiming that this was a case of police brutality, 15 students got injured, but whereas on the Delhi police's side, 30 policemen received injuries. We do not know the nature of those injuries yet, but that's what the Delhi police is saying right now. As far as today's protest is concerned, as I said, the day is yet to begin here at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. We are being told that 10 a.m. is when the first protests could begin, as it has been going on from the last several days. At 4 p.m., as you shortly a short while back did play up, did give us that information that at around 4 p.m. we are expecting that press conference by JNU SU. So that's where the issue stands. The protest continues, the JNUs making it very, very clear, unless and until the fees is rolled back, they are not going to stop this protest.
While talking about that press conference at 4 p.m., what is the JNUSU likely to respond with? Because yesterday they said that we don't mind talking to the government, but we have a certain set of preconditions, beginning with a total rollback till the talks continue. Is the JNUSU likely to maintain that line? Are they likely to continue to demand a total rollback as the precondition to hold talks with the Ministry of HRD?
It seems so, because they have been consistent with this demand that unless and until the fee is rolled back, there is no point stopping the protest. And it seems that for any dialogue to happen, for any negotiation to happen, for any direct line of communication to be open between the students and the ministry officials, there has to be something that has to be given to the students, going by the mood and going by the way the protests have been continuing. Even yesterday, JNUSU leaders, even when the top brass was detained, they were very clear that detaining a leader or two would not really deter them from continuing with their protest, and they will continue to do so until and unless the fee is rolled back. So that's where they stand. On the other hand, as you have been also reporting, understandably, MHRD also saying that for any negotiation to happen, for any dialogue to happen, there has to be some ground conceded from both the sides, and that's exactly what they are waiting for. A partial rollback has been done. Now the ball, of course, is in the court of the students, whether more so at times we confuse JNU students with the political leadership as well, as it exists in the campus. So again, the political leadership here in the campus, of course, is representative of the students. So on their behalf, JNUSU leaders, of course, saying that they are not going to relent unless and until the fee is completely rolled back.
Sahil, a lot of the anger that we saw from JNU students, more than the government, it seemed to be directed towards the Vice Chancellor. There is one view that if the Vice Chancellor had taken direct control of the situation, if he had actually come out and met the students, none of this would have happened. Students would not have had to spill out onto the streets. They would not have to face police lathis, and the police would not have to resort to the measures that they did. So does a lot of the blame in the eyes of the JNU students also lie at the feet of the Vice Chancellor here? Does the buck stop at his table?
Again, the context goes back to the initial round of protests, not just now, but even when Kanhaiya Kumar was the JNSU president. The trust deficit, Uday, I think, which began then, has just gone from bad to worse. That bridge, that gap between student leaders and the top leadership here in the JNU campus has just increased over the years, where JNU VC always making it a point to take it to Twitter rather than interacting with students. That's exactly been the complaint of many JNUSU leaders and also the students, that that line of communication which should have been with students, that line of communication has never existed, and rather the JNU VC has preferred the medium of Twitter to communicate and rather demonize some of the students. But on the other hand, JNU, VC and the top brass of JNUs, the Jawaharlal Nehru University, has always maintained that for any dialogue to happen, for any negotiation, for any line of communication to be opened up, it's very important to not have a hostile environment in the campus. Recall, Uday, during our student days, how often did we have the courage to paint or vandalize our dean's office or our principal's office? So there have been complaints even from the other side that the way there's been sort of vandalism that's been carried out that has really not left any ground for any sort of peaceful negotiation to happen. So that's where it stands. Multiple versions. One version, of course, not happy with the way things have been done by the JNU VC, of course, not too happy with the way students and some of the leaders have reacted. So that's where it stands. The bottom line really is that the stalemate because of all of this continues.
All right, so the JNU student protest likely to continue and continue unabated because the JNU Students' Union is now demanding a total rollback of the fee hike. Thank you so much, Sahil Mulli Meghani, for bringing us the updates from Ground Zero. On that note, let's slip into a very short break. News and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.